aka Prince, with the homie Duran, aka Medic Grizzly. So, guys, we are doing the Tuesday Thrones. Every week, we break down a Song of Ice and Fire books, chapter by chapter, going through each POV character. So this week, we are on Catelyn 4 of A Game of Thrones. Duran, we usually, we were talking off our air about this. We usually give Catelyn a lot of crap, but I mean, this is her 4th chapter. She gets a lot of airtime in this book, and it's so needed because a lot of the things that she is present for really push the story forward. So you really can't tell like the story of like at least the first couple of books without Catelyn's POV.
Bro, and it's so sickening because you're so right. Like you can't like these 4 chapters. First of all, her already having 4 chapters is ridiculous right now. We're like on like chapter what, like I think 17 or 18ish, whatever it is,
something like that. Yeah.
For her to already have 4, that tells you that she's already in the mix, and you already know my like distaste for this particular character, and that I have to like, yeah, we're doing Catelyn again. Yippee! I can't stand it. But this chapter was really good.
A lot of information. It's a really good chapter.
Really good chapter. Very good chapter. Yeah. So let me ask you a question though. The voyage and how she had the wit to like, yo, I got to beat everyone there. And most people were like, yo, they're going to travel this long road through horses. She's like, no, I want to get a boat and we're going to beat everybody there. Can you explain to the viewers the chapter start off with showing all of the history and how like before King's Landing, like what these places were and why they placed some names were dropped, some locations, the doors, everything.
Yeah, so again, we've said this ad nauseum on this pod, but the way that George does exposition and kind of world building through different POVs is so genius because it doesn't feel like you're getting, let me give you a history lesson kind of a situation, right? It's, Catelyn is they're sailing into King's Landing. They're in the Blackwater Bay, headed towards Blackwater Rush to King's Landing, and she's kind of looking at the whole landscape of the city and giving us a little bit of information or history about, about Aegon the Conqueror and, how he came. And so you get these really great descriptions of what the city looks like. And I know all of us like now, like we have the benefit of having the show, but I feel like I could read this book and she's talking about, Visenya's Hill and Rhaenys Hill and Aegon's Hill and all the streets cobbled together. And like the structures and the buildings and the granaries and brothels all kind of like piled on top of each other. You have this idea in your brain of what this city looks like. It's this sprawling kind of metropolis that you can, I mean, I guess as big as a metropolis can have in, a medieval world. But you get such a great visual of it while also getting like the history of, this is where Aegon landed with his army. And it was really just a crude little like wooden fort at the beginning. But, as he continued his conquest, the town kind of just like rose up around it. So, again, just really good like world setting language just early on before they even land in the harbor.
And that tells you how rich this history is. And like me being, like I said, the newbie in this whole thing, besides the show kind of like, if I'm not going to say visually you see something, you don't really know the actual worth that actually is. But now seeing the small build up and how we have to revisit these places later on, bro, that was a power. That's probably her best part of her book in the prior chapter. This is like the best part. And I enjoyed it so much. And then we go on to mention the name drop. So like a Littlefinger of the history. Tell the folks why he is Littlefinger.
So the great thing about this Catelyn chapter, I'm glad you brought him up already because this is the first time that we're introduced to Littlefinger and Varys, who were the two kind of, I guess, rival intelligence officers in Westeros.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way. Yes.
So Littlefinger. His real name is Lord Peter Baelish, of course. She gives a little bit of history about how he got the name. Her brother Edmure gave him that name because his family is from a region in Westeros called the Fingers. and he was always a very small, slender person. So Edmure, as a way of mocking him, called him Littlefinger. So everyone calls him Littlefinger still to this day, even though he is, like Catelyn said, officially Lord Baelish because his father died, so he's now Lord of his family's holdings. But again, like we're getting a little bit of hints about who this guy is and the history about, him and Catelyn and her sister Lysa. They were all kind of friends growing up, but Littlefinger really, really liked Catelyn in a way that, I mean, he really liked her. Like he loved her.
Bro,
like let's just call it
he
what
was
it is.
in love.
And yeah, so we get a little bit of background about Ned's older brother, who Catelyn was supposed to marry, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
When he got news, when Littlefinger got news that Brandon was going to be marrying her, he challenged Brandon to a duel. We all know how that turned out. Littlefinger got his shit handed to him, and Catelyn basically had to beg Brandon not to kill him.
Which is also very
and she has not seen Littlefinger since.
That is the part that this gets me. So the last time you seen him, you beg for his life, for it not to be taken away. This is supposed to be like your brother figure who got infatuated with you to the point that it became uncomfortable, and that he's willing to challenge for your love. Nah, don't kill him though. Don't kill him. Let him live. Let him do his thing. And then you swing back, and then boom, you need this guy. You essentially need him. That's crazy.
Well, and it's interesting too, because you see he was kind of like waiting in the wind, because she mentions that after Brandon was killed by the Mad King, he wrote her a letter, but she burned it without ever reading it.
Yes.
So he's always had this emotional attachment to her, and and I give Catelyn credit for being aware of some of her knowing that she needs to have some kind of political savviness to kind of maneuver around the comings and goings of King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
But she just does not. She knows that there's a lot of shady nonsense going on in King's Landing. She just does not know how serious it is. And it's kind of a shame, because you have to give her credit for having more sense than Ned does in this realm, but I mean, they're out of their league. They're completely out of their league, and we see later on in the chapter, which we'll get to in a second. But they're just. She knows that she has to tread carefully, but she has no idea that even her showing up is just you've walked right into the lion's den. No pun intended.
Yeah, rarely, intended lines. But they even try to warn her. But I did like the detail, the flat, showing the dagger's damage to the fingers, and actually showing that, hey, this is not going to change. Literally, I'm going to have this, and it's a reminder of why I'm here, in a sense. And then how strategically she tried to be to make sure no one knew she was going to be there. But yet they still find out that you're there. How you try to find these places that they didn't ask for names, they didn't ask for nothing. It's it's a terrible part of town. No one's going to know I'm there, but yet the spider knows that you're there. That was just so cool and dope that we knew this man was, like you said, the battle they had once, who's the top agent, who knows this, who knows that, the Whisperers, a little people. It was fascinating. They never name dropped any other details until it actually happened in the moment that, I didn't even tell. I was being careful, and you guys still found out. This is not my game. I have no chance.
Yeah, and that's for, again, reading it over and over, for the I don't know how many times I've read this chapter, but going back now and seeing it again, it's just man, they were compromised the second they got off that ship, and they had no idea. And she, like you said, she went to great lengths to try and hide herself. I mean, even Sir Roderick, shaved his whiskers off and everything like that. But there's nothing, just like Littlefinger said, there's nothing that goes on in King's Landing without Varys or I knowing. That is the world that she had stepped in. So it's a tough spot for her to be in, because him and Varys, they just kind of sniff it out right away. She tries to play that game with him, a woman can't miss her husband and her daughters, and Littlefinger's like, yeah,
He
miss me with all
called
that
her.
bullshit.
He
What's
called her on
going
her
on here?
stuff. Yo, what is your home? What's your phrase? What's your you about family? Everything you need to do in your duties or back home. You being here, something happened. And then even going to the whole
Tell
point of
me
her trying
something's
to,
up.
yeah, she trying to hide the dagger and everything else. You hid him. You tried all these secrets and methods, and yo, where's the dagger at, yo? Like, let's get to the point. Let's get down to nitty gritty. Like, why are you here?
And the thing is too, when she enters the room, the first thing he says is he notices her hands.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already, the wheels are already turning in Littlefinger's head, right? And this is the thing for me where Littlefinger's such an opportunist. Like I do feel like Littlefinger shoots off the hip more than people probably think he does, because if he truly did not know, if Varys was truly the one who gave him the word that hey, Lady Stark is in King's Landing, right? Because that's what he tells her, and I do believe that. Otherwise, Varys wouldn't have shown up as quickly as he did, and kind of given the whole spiel about how he found out that she was here.
Yeah,
but at the end of the chapter, Littlefinger's playing with the knife, right? And he gives this story, which we know now is a lie, and we're going to get into why I believe it's a lie. But he talks about how, it's like, oh man, you should have came to me about this knife. It's mine. And she's kind of like, what do you mean it's yours? She's like, well, I had it in my possession, but I put money on Jaime in a tournament for Prince Joffrey's name day.
Mm-hmm.
And after he lost to Sir Loras, I lost it to Tyrion Lannister. Now, here's the thing, Duran. I'm going to ask you a question. Littlefinger said that he put money on Jaime, right?
Mm-hmm.
He lost that bet to Tyrion, Jaime's brother. What about Tyrion that we know about Tyrion? What tells you that he would ever bet against Jaime?
That's the puzzling thing. Every time I read this, bro, he loved his brother.
He would never bet against Jaime.
He loved his brother. So even when this thing happened, I'm reading it, I'm like, Littlefinger, you full of crap, bro. You already you're literally you're full of crap, because we just had the small meshes of they treat Jaime and their friendship and their brotherhood is different. It's different than anyone else in their bloodline. He's not going to betray that at all. Nope. So for you to even mention this as in you want to be the head honcho, the star of a story, as in yeah, this is my dagger, all that stuff. You can't call your bluff because she don't really know what's going on. She knew it wasn't from around where she had it. But bro, you're lying from the gate. All you want is to be, you're so infatuated with her. It's insane. It's insane. And Varys is hilarious, bro. He's hilarious.
The introduction to Varys, we're going to get back to Littlefinger lying in a second, but Varys' introduction, they make him so creepy. They describe him as plump and soft and moist and perfumed. It's just he's kind of icky. He's kind of the kind of person where you don't want him to touch you. You know what I mean?
If you listen to the audiobook, bro, the voice they use, it's so creepy. It's so freaking creepy. You oh my gosh, why am I what who read this? This is bad. Let you know this person is not supposed to be in the circle, the eunuch. He is definitely out there. He's a different taste. But he name drops her husband. Oh, we're a new hand. We're a fan of him. You're up here, bro. How you even know about any of this stuff? I mean, you're down there. How do you even know about this?
He knows everything, man.
They're not even there yet. They're not even there yet. And then Catelyn tried to do a different route, but yet y'all meet the same destination, and he already knows everything. If that doesn't tell you, I'm confused. How do you it's insane to think about the knowledge that passes so fast.
Yeah, and Catelyn has a little bit of a monologue in her head where she's saying, she only trusted Littlefinger a little, and Varys not at all. And it's just
absolutely.
And I think, I don't want to give anything away here for anyone who hasn't read the books or watched the show yet, but just if you trust no one in King's Landing, you're starting off on the right foot.
Everyone has their hidden agenda. Think about it right now. It never dawned on you that you two you're in a room now with two of the most persuasive people in King's Landing. He
Two
said
of the
he's
most very influential people, at least.
yes, like Master of Coin. Like he literally controls there. And then you have like the spider and the coin, like the money, anything you want to do as far as the secret double agents and various. Like you are not going to be able to do whatever you want to do without them being a part of it. So who do you befriend? Like who do you do? Like it's that point in life where like I got a history with him, but he also like is he trying to play him? Say I use your love against you. Like I need you to be here. But this man also wants you for his own trophy prize. At the end of the day, that's all he wants is you as a trophy. And he will do anything and say anything to make that happen.
Yep. I'm so glad you brought that up about like, you know, he's master of coin, he's master of whispers. Like, again, as much as we try to give Catelyn a little bit of credit for like acknowledging like, hey, look, this is King's Land and they do things different and I got to move very, very carefully.
Yeah.
There is no way that you're going to be able to outmaneuver these two people on their home turf. It's just not gonna. It's just not going to happen. But this is why I also going back to Littlefinger. Why I also say, you know, why he's so opportunistic and shoots off the hip. Because if he really did not know about the dagger, which I'm not even entirely sure that he didn't beforehand,
yeah,
he just saw this as an opportunity to pit the Starks against the Lannisters for a full-blown lie.
Yep.
For a full-blown lie. Because number one, if that story is a lie that he lost it in a bet to Tyrion, he never had that dagger in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we believe that story is a lie, we know Tyrion would never bet on Jaime. So Littlefinger would never have the knife in his possession to bet to lose to Tyrion in something that never happened.
It just tells you like more about the actual game. Like it's in the title, it's Game of Thrones. But like knowing that the knowledge and the holding the cards and like playing it to your liking and love mixed into it, it's a recipe for disaster. And then there's something else brewing in the back. Like you said, he's trying to put the Starks against the Lannisters. Like there's more going on that we don't even know about. It's only like the small little peeling of the onion.